This program is brought to you by thepodcastfactory.com.
How would you like to get more customers, make more profits, and have bigger breakthroughs? Get Doberman Dan's profit-boosting breakthroughs. Normally, this would cost you $98 per month, but right now, for listening to this show, he's giving you a free copy of his Doberman Dan letter. All you have to do is go to DobermanDan.com and sign up to get your free copy now.
Prepare yourself for the uncensored, nothing held back, no BS reality of how business and life really work. Doberman Dan is off the chain.
All right, this is what you have been waiting for. It's the Off the Chain show where we actually stop talking about the woo-woo stuff and get into some business. What is up, my man, Dan?
I really don't know if this is what people have been waiting for. It might be what they just stumbled across on iTunes. Like, I'm bored. Let me see. What kind of weird shit can I listen to on iTunes? But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how you got here. We appreciate you being here. And we're going to say something today. That's my promise. We're going to say something.
Yeah, well, originally, this started as a sales deal. Or were we talking about sales? You were talking about sales when we first started 100 episodes ago, but you've gone off in all different directions. And I don't know if that is because you've gotten bored of talking about sales or because you're growing. Which is it?
Well, I sure hope I'm growing. After the Christmas season, I've definitely grown horizontally a little bit. So, I was going to say, I regret calling this for renegade entrepreneurs. I don't regret it. I love entrepreneurs. I is one, have been one for a long time. Even before I knew what one was, I was one. But, I just welcome anybody here who just wants to find some truth, man, who just wants to grow, just wants to live life and grow and do cool things, and whatever that is for you. I find a lot of those people are entrepreneurs. So that's a thing.
Yeah.
And yeah, the whole deal started talking about entrepreneurship especially with focusing on my particular superpowers, which is online marketing, direct response copywriting, and stuff like that. But, anybody who gets into this stuff long enough seems to get led down a path, and you start finding it's like, hey, man, I want to improve my concentration. Okay. Why? Well, because I want to write better copy. Why I want to make more money. So I'm going to improve my copy and I need to improve my concentration, ability to come up with big breakthrough ideas. And then, so that leads you down a different path, which can, depending on how deep you go, can lead you down the rabbit hole.
Yeah.
To find some really awesome, amazing stuff. And I'm just excited about certain things. And I'm just going to tell you this. I'm probably wrong about a lot of them. I'm just sharing what I'm finding in my life and what I'm trying, and I'm getting up to bat and I'm swinging at the ball and I'm striking out a lot, but I'm getting a lot of base hits and I'm occasionally get some home runs. So I say a lot of stuff that's wrong. Like Dr. Kenny took me to task for that, didn't he?
Yeah.
And I invited him back, by the way,
rematch
to talk about some other stuff. He'll be back one day soon because he was cool. He cleared up a lot of stuff that I was wrong about.
Yeah.
And, I appreciate that. So I'm just sharing stuff, man. Yeah. So we've gone down different tracks, but anybody who wants to talk about selling more stuff or hear about how to sell more stuff, that's what we're going to talk about today with a slight Doberman Dan twist. It might not be exactly what you think it's going to be.
Okay. And one thing that I want to shine the light on there is the idea, two ideas that you said there is the eternal growth, because that's not just entrepreneurship. That's just, to me, being human. And the people that don't grow are those people that will work for you forever and help you produce the life that you want. And if you're listening to this show, you're probably not one of those people. And the other thing, the truth seekers, that's one of my favorite things that I think you should be touching on more is the truth. What is the truth as you know it? That's what you're sharing here. So 2 cool things that I like the direction of the show for this year.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. We've had several conversations when the record button is off.
Sadly.
And so you know what I'd like to strive for in this new year is I'd like to strive for more of that vibe because, you know, I got this red light anxiety. And, you know, I first experienced it in my music career. As stupid as it sounds, I have a recording studio in my home. So it's stupid. I should have anxiety when the red light is on at home and I'm like trying to record a solo track, a guitar solo. It's dumb because I could record 4,000 different takes. It's unlimited. I'm not paying for the hour in a studio. And if they all suck, which sometimes they do, I just delete them. And no human ears other than mine ever hear them, nor should human ears ever hear those. But still, you know, it's that anxiety when you see the red light coming on. And a lot of times too, when we're recording this podcast, and then when the red light goes off and you and I continue the conversation like, damn, dude, should have been recording that. So help me out with that, man. I want us to get more of that vibe going.
Yeah. All right. I'll do what I can do, but I never want to derail your brilliance, brother. So what do you have for us today?
Please derail me. I need to be I derail myself all the time. So you
performance anxiety. I got you.
I give you full license to derail me. I think I teased at the end of the last show. I'm going to talk about the most effective selling secret of the greatest persuaders in the world, which I thought was kind of a cool title.
Yeah.
That's a first take title, but yeah, you know, ain't bad. And the first thing I thought of, which I know this is going to sound like speaking of getting derailed, this is going to sound totally unrelated, but I thought of my grandpa and something he always used to say. Grandpa repeated a lot of the same stories, but one of them was a little poem. A wise old owl sat in an oak. The more he heard, the less he spoke. The less he spoke, the more he heard. Why can't we all be like that wise old bird?
I love it.
So here's what I've discovered. Wait a minute, let me get off the rails one more time. Do you know why women like a silent man?
Because they feel like he's listening to her.
Aha! It makes them think that we're listening. Most of the time, us guys, we are not listening. Trust me.
That's the trick.
Your mouth is moving and you're making sounds, but we're thinking about something totally different. That's
we're hearing
the guy thing. That's right. The teacher in the Peanuts cartoon. That's what we're
right.
hearing.
No joke.
Check. So we're talking. We want to help people sell more stuff today, right?
Okay.
So check out what good old Edwin Schneidman had to say. He's a pioneer in the field of suicide prevention at the LA Suicide Prevention Center. And I imagine, like, compared to the rest of the country, based on what I've seen and heard, way more people in LA want to kill themselves.
He's busy.
He says, if you listen for hurt, fear, and pain, or for people's hopes and dreams, it is nearly always there. And when the other person feels you listening and feeling them, they will let down their guard and open their minds and hearts to you. So what does that have to do with sales?
Oh, my.
Well, here's something I've discovered. So I occasionally, even though it is not my core competency, I need to get on the phone with people and sell them on some really high priced thing. You know, whether that be a copywriting project, consulting deal, coaching, when I occasionally, in a moment of weakness, open myself up to coaching some of the nights in my marketing Camelot. It appears to me that one of the deepest desires of human beings is empathy and understanding. Would you agree with that?
Dude, on so many, like, I'm excited that we're talking about this right now. I'm excited to be listening.
Are you really? Because you had no idea this was coming.
No, I love this stuff. You know that.
I'm going to correct you. Not listening, talking. You contribute so much to this show, man. Yes, I love it. Participation. So, you know, when I first started this, I thought, like, of course, on this podcast, I get on here and run my big yap because I guess that's what I'm supposed to do. If this were a podcast and I did what I did on like a sales call, or if I did what I do in most conversations, here's what this podcast would be. It'd be like 21 minutes of this.
That's how you know you're doing it right.
I see. It's like, so I gotta run my big fat yap on this.
You know what's funny about that, Dan?
Bop we're doing
that right there is what makes me weak to do a podcast or even to be an interviewer, because I like to just let the other person talk. And so it's like, and you know what else I do? And you get this all the time. I repeat whatever you say, right? And so that's how you know you're being listened to. So that's how I know I can't have my own podcast, because I just like to listen.
Well, yeah, I mean, you're really good at it too. That's why I kind of figured you pretty much dig this particular episode. I've noticed I do this, and I need to become more cognizant. I'm trying to become more cognizant of my, for some reason, feeling the need to do this when somebody is talking. I feel a need to, yeah. Oh, yeah. I know what you're talking about. Stuff like that. But I just want people to know I'm listening.
Right.
But I notice that derails people. Like all the freaking time, I have to keep learning this lesson over and over. I do that stuff and they stop talking.
Yeah.
And then they pick right back up where they were, or worse, they lose their train of thought and we've lost the whole momentum we had. And I notice on certain podcasts, the interviewers are doing that all the time. Like
I hate
punctuating.
that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I want to choke those fuckers.
Yeah. So I'm, forgive me. I know I do that a lot. I'm getting better. When we have guests, I'm getting better.
I think you're pretty good. You let them run. You let them run. And what the one thing, like, and what I found is difficult is when you get those people, like I interviewed an A-list copywriter. I won't say his name, but he had these long pauses. And so it's about not getting into that pause and not ruining their momentum. Let there be silence. Silence is okay. I don't know why people are afraid of it.
That is a great point. So that's something I've noticed too, that I always want to jump in on the pauses because I don't like dead air. I don't like dead air, not on just the show and just in
on
general.
The call?
Yeah. I mean, like, or if we were talking in person and you were gathering your thoughts and it went for a longer period of time that is comfortable for me, I'm running my big fat mouth and it screws things up. And that's what I was doing on these calls, so I started freelancing full time in 2012 when I sold my supplement business. So, now I'm getting on the phone with the people and here I am. What I looked at it, my view was I'm pitching them on hiring me and I am running my mouth the whole damn time. And I did it too when I first started offering coaching, like, well, I'm going to do this and you're going to do this and we're going to do this. And every Tuesday it's going to be great, man. Cause you're going to get this and learn that. And, after you get your ass kicked and you don't sell stuff, it's just rejection after rejection. You start to figure out, maybe that ain't working.
Right.
So I've discovered the exact opposite. When you listen, you ask questions, you mirror, okay? You reflect back to what you've heard, all right? Like when they've completed a thought. So what you're saying, Jonathan,
let them complete it, right? Let them complete it.
Yeah, let them complete it. You mirror it back and to make sure you've heard correctly, you understood. When you do, they're going to feel that deep need we all have for empathy and understanding, which I'm using the words empathy and understanding, but it's actually something else. But I won't go there. Let's stick with empathy and understanding. People feel seen, heard, felt, understood. And all of a sudden, it shifts. It moves them from resistance, all right, from resisting to listening. Especially, this is what persuasion is about, right?
Yeah.
All right. So we want to persuade someone to do something. And I sure hope what you're trying to persuade people to do is honest and ethical and in their best interests, not just your best interests. But there's a cycle you got to go through, man. There's a persuasion cycle. And when you're just assaulting them nonstop with your blabbering, it's like shut off, man. It's like how guys are with women. They're hearing the Peanuts teacher, wah, 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 wah. You got to move them from resisting to listening, from listening to considering what you're saying, from considering to willing to do it, from willing to do it to doing it, from doing it to being glad they're doing it or they did it, and then continuing to do it. And the superpower there is the listening. I got to give a guy credit. I don't know him, but I'd like to know him. And maybe Cupcake can get him as a guest. Dr. Golston, Dr. Mark, let me confirm his first name. Is it Mark? Yeah, Mark Golston, Goulston. He wrote a brilliant book called Just Listen. I mean, the title alone tells you what you need to do. But it's so silly that it took me so long to figure this out for my entrepreneurial activities and my selling activities, because I got a gut level life or death example of how this works. Like my 5th day on the police department as a rookie, I call it my Mexican standoff experience. So we show up for some neighbor trouble in the projects, and it's over a parking space. Neighbors are arguing over a parking space, and one neighbor calls the police. As we're there, and that neighbor is telling us his side of the story, the other neighbor comes out with a 12-gauge shotgun, and racks one in, and points it at my young, at the time, and beautiful cranium. So he's that dude is in what we call, and I learned this term from Dr. Golston, amygdala hijack. Now, I didn't know the term back then, but I sure as hell knew what it was on the police department. It's where somebody is in fight or flight mode, man. They're thinking with reptile brain. Okay. All higher faculties are now shut off when reptile brain is taken over. You ain't thinking logically. You can't reason with that person. It doesn't matter what you say, what you do, until you get them out of amygdala hijack so they can regain their higher brain functioning. Actually, some people never have had higher brain functioning to begin with, but let's not go down that path. It doesn't matter what you do while they're in amygdala hijack. So, we got guns drawn now, shotgun at my head, my gun pointed at him. We're in the Mexican standoff. I was scared shitless. I mean, I was a rookie, man, 5 days on the street.
Wow.
And we weren't trained in this stuff in the academy. The academy didn't train us for any real life stuff. And so I don't know why, but for some reason, I'm thinking this is going to end bad if I don't do something. Now I'm getting in amygdala hijack at that point. But before reptile brain took me over, I said to him, Jesus loves you.
Really?
Now, see, I knew my target market. I knew the audience I was speaking with. I knew their culture. I knew their beliefs. And I felt that would be the thing that would shock him out of amygdala hijack. I said that to him, and he paused, and he stopped, and you could almost see this change in his eyes. And he lowered his shotgun, and then I said, however, if you don't put the shotgun down, you're going to be able to confirm in person that Jesus loves you in another couple seconds. And
when you go meet him.
So this guy not only drops the shotgun, because by the way, the hammer, we had revolvers back then. The hammer on my revolver is coming back. Okay. I'm squeezing the trigger, and it's just millimeters before that hammer's about to drop. And anyway, so he drops the shotgun, and do you know what his next reaction was? He hugged me and apologized.
Wow.
Of course, my partner was putting the handcuffs on him too. We weren't going to have a hug fest there for very long, but that was like the first just life or death gut level confirmation of the power of listening. And that's what you got to do in sales, man. The trouble is, if you're trying to get buy-in from somebody, okay, you're trying to get them to listen to you, or at least consider your offer. If they're angry, you pissed them off, they're pissed off about something, it's not your fault. They're threatened. Their higher brain ain't calling the shots at that point, man. It's lizard brain. And you've got to do something to get them out of amygdala hijack. And you running your mouth ain't going to do it. It's just going to make it worse.
Yeah.
The exact same thing applies in sales. It really has nothing to do with what you say. In fact, I've had sales calls very recently where it was just after the intro, like, hey, how you doing? Good to see you. Hey, where do you live? That kind of stuff. Then it's just like, so tell me why are you interested in whatever, in this? And me shutting my big trap and listening and just occasionally, feeding back to them what they said to make sure that I understand it. And at the end of the call is usually something to the effect of, what do you think we should do at this point?
Yeah.
And at that point, they close the sale themselves.
So I call that, Dan, I have a name for that. It's my ALR formula. And you and I talked about it off the air where I gave you my call sheet and all that, but it's ask, listen, repeat. So you ask, you listen for the answer. When they're done with the answer, you sum it up. And they think you know them better than they know themselves. And really all you're doing is repeating what they just told you in a more concise fashion. You'll find also, if you think about this, Dan, how often do I do that here with you or on any of my shows? I just say whatever the hell you guys say in 3 words that took you 20 minutes, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
You're like,
that's the mark of a good interviewer.
You're a great co-host, man. You know everything. Yeah, you just said everything. I just repeated it. But it's super powerful. And I want to, before we wrap this thing up, there's something that really I was thinking about when you talked about persuasion and people thinking that they actually can persuade, where I'm starting to think, Dan, that you cannot persuade because you can't move somebody from where they are until they're ready. And I saw this in real estate a lot of times when our agents were marketing for listings. They want these sellers to list right now, but the seller's not ready to list. They're not going to be ready for 6 months. And there's no amount of persuasion you can do to change that. So there's an element of timing that I feel people are missing these days.
You're absolutely right. It's so much easier just to sift and sort. Well, it's better if you got a system that does your sifting and sorting, but sifting and sorting the people who are ready to buy now. I mean,
Right.
And you want to talk about selling, that makes your job, or persuasion, it just makes your job so much easier. They sell themselves.
Not people are like, wait, where's the magic? People selling themselves. Go back and listen again. Yeah. I promise. Listen.
I used to think that there's certain words you can use and certain closes and all that stuff to talk people into doing something that they don't want to do. Good luck with that.
What do you have for us next time, Dan?
Next time we're going to talk about, I don't know the best way to do this verbally. I know how to do it in print. So here is what we're talking about next week is this guy is ruining your life.
Him? Oh boy. All right. Looking forward to
that.
So
if I were writing copy, I would capitalize this. and italicize it and underline it.
Right.
This guy is ruining your life, or a subject line. That works great for email subject lines.
Nice. All right. So that is a wrap for another Off the Chain show. Thank you, K9 Crew, for tuning in. Thank you, Doberman Dan, for enlightening us with some sales secrets. We'll be back next time.
Thanks for listening. And remember, if you want to create rivers of revenue from your existing customers, then the next thing you need to do is go to DobermanDan.com. He's given away a free copy of his $98 per month Doberman Dan letter just for listening to the show. Go to DobermanDan.com now and sign up for your free issue.
This is the podcastfactory.com.